Hello and welcome to my shop. My name is Tracy Maxfield. In today's video, we're going to dress up this tool wall behind me. I have tools up here that are never used, tools I can't find when I need them due to the whole wall being just completely disorganized. Well, today ends that problem. I have some spalted red oak that is really not usable for anything else, but I believe it will make a decent improvement to this wall. So let's get started. Now I've got to clean all this stuff off, but first let's mill some lumber. First, I'll need to get a rough estimate of the size of this existing wall. When I do milling of rough lumber, I like to break out the track saw and cut one live edge off the slab. It creates a good starting point by giving me one straight side to work off of. I will lay down some styrofoam to prevent cutting into my bench, and because these slabs are about 10 feet in length, I'll use both tracks and join them together. I don't know what I was thinking of by setting up over there on the assembly table. My dust extractor for this is over here, so off camera I've moved everything over here. Now we're ready to start cutting. I line up the track with a live edge and set the depth of cut just slightly more than the thickness of the slab. Then I'll use my circular saw to break the board down even more, straightening up one end and then cutting the board in two, but a little longer than what is needed, making it much easier to handle, and I'll cut it to a final length later. Then at the table saw, I'll remove the other live edge, and because my joiner is 8 inches, I will cut each board at 8 inches or any size under that to remove the other live edge. After getting all the materials broke down, it is time to joint one face and plane to thickness. Using a crosscut sled, I'll square up one end and then cut to a final length. I don't even bother joining the edges. For this project they are straight enough, but I do add a 45-degree chamfer to each edge, but on the face side only. Then everything is stained, but I don't bother with putting on a protective sealer. One reason is, this is for the shop, and it's a shop wall. It's not going to have a ton of wear. Another reason, this is going to be the backdrop for videos, and I'm guessing there won't be much or any glare without a sealer on it. We'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now it's time to remove all the tools from the wall and the work surface below. Not all of these tools are going to be returning to the wall. And after milling the lumber, I did the math on the square footage of the wall versus the board feet of lumber I had after removing what was unusable. And it was my original plan to remove the hardware cases from the wall and then reattach them to the new wall. But I only had enough to cover the exposed plywood, so I left the cases attached and worked around them. Now it's time to install the new wall. Each board was first anchored in the center by pre-drilling and driving in two 1 1/4 inch screws. Then I anchored the bottom the same way, pre-drilling and then adding screws. And you guessed it, the top was fastened the same way. And you can see here how the section above the cases were done. I decided to cover this top with some leftover vinyl flooring we had from a remodeling job. I used polyurethane construction adhesive to lock it down to the top of the cabinet. Now this is not liquid nail, this is polyurethane construction adhesive. They are two completely different things. This is the same stuff that John Hayes uses. It will stick almost any two surfaces together. I purchased this at our local flooring center, and the application I'm using it for is exactly what its intended purpose was. These pieces lock together, and I'll mention that even seam in the middle just a little later on. Also, using a rubber mallet on these seams will lock the ends together. Just don't hit hard enough to damage it. Just lightly tap it until they snap together. They should lay down flush. I use a palm router with a flush trim bit to cut the excess off. This is a messy process. The chips have static to them and they stick to everything, but for the speed and accuracy it is well worth the cleanup. Even with a vacuum held right at the bit, it still goes everywhere. And now it's time to make good on that cleanup deal I made with a router, but it was worth it. Now let's hang a few chargers. I have dealt with, not that it's anyone's fault but my own, but I have dealt with charger cords getting all tangled up and even batteries burn up due to them being left on the chargers for days at a time, out of sight, out of mind. Well, now I'm going to be able to see them and know if a light is left on and have them out of the way for the most part. It's a win-win. All cords were fed through this hole. And I used a bent piece of flat metal to fish them out and plug them all into the same power strip. Now one switch kills all chargers now. Okay, I'm going to end this one right here, but before I do, let me cover just a couple of things and the reason that I did and the reason why I did them the way that I did. This vinyl flooring that I used on the top of this work surface, I know when you are laying this stuff that you're supposed to stagger those ends. You don't line those seams up all in a row like I did. That seam's supposed to be broke up, and that saves the ends from coming apart and also makes each individual joint stronger. I just laid 1,700 plus square feet of this in my basement, and every one of those seams are staggered. The reason why I done this one the way that I did is I have some of that flooring left. There's not a whole lot of it, but there is a few boxes of it, and we have several projects around the house that we want to use it for, one of which is right here in the shop. Anyway, I didn't know how far that what we have will go. I haven't figured it up, and I wanted to conserve all of it that I could. Plus, when I laid it, I used a polyurethane construction adhesive, and I glued it down, and I made sure that there was plenty of glue at the end of each piece at that joint. And it's shop furniture, it really doesn't matter to me. And here in a few months or a few years down the road, I may do something completely different with it. I'm also going to have to make all the tool holders, all the tools that's going to be returning to this wall. Not all of them will, but the ones that do return to the wall are going to get holders, and I'm going to have to make each and every single one of them. I'm going to try to get this set up to where it actually looks decent, not like before. But I'll record each one of those showing the process when I make them, and maybe something in that process will help you out with or spawn an idea of your own. We're going to wrap this one up now. thanks for watching. All of you that have subscribed, thank you very much for that. If you haven't subscribed, let me go ahead and invite you to hit that subscribe button. Also, give the video a like. It really helps the channel out, helps it grow. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, please feel free to leave them below. I really do enjoy hearing from you. And until next time, thanks for watching.